Let me go ahead and save you a whole bunch of time and deliberation and tell you that yes, no matter when you are watching this video, right now, today is a great time for you to get into Bitcoin. Yeah, I get it. It would have been a lot better if you'd gotten into Bitcoin yesterday, last week, last month, last year, or a decade ago. Pretty much every single time that people have gotten into Bitcoin, they can say that they wish they'd gotten in earlier. We all feel that way. But the fact of the matter is, because of the reasons I'm going to explain in this video today, it is a great time to get into Bitcoin. You are still early, and I'm going to explain to you why, no matter when you're watching this video, it's still a great time for you to get involved. Honestly, one of the most common questions that I see on Reddit, forums, and social media is this: is now a good time to get into Bitcoin? Typically, the people asking the question cite the current facts. Today, we're at an all-time high, or today, Bitcoin dropped by 20%, and then start to ask us, I'm a complete beginner, I don't own any Bitcoin. Is now a good time? So I wanted to record a video to answer this question once and for all so I can share it with all of you, rather than you getting a mixed bag of advice from people based on whenever they got into Bitcoin and their experiences. Because I get it, we all feel like we wish we got into Bitcoin earlier. We missed out on the latest dip. Right now it's an all-time high. We heard about Bitcoin in 2013, but we didn't buy, and now it's really hard for us to get over that mentally. I get it. And Bitcoin's price is volatile, and it is not easy to know exactly when the right time is. So I want to break it down and explain it to you, and then give you some tips and advice based on my experience and the experience of those that I've observed and gotten involved myself on exactly how you can do this best. Now, before we proceed, of course, I want to say that this is not investment advice. These are my opinions, my experiences based on what I've seen, based on the people that brought me into Bitcoin and helped me find my way. Of course, you should use your own reasoning and logic, and I take no responsibility for my advice. All right, that is the disclaimer. Now, let's get into the facts. First and foremost, ultimately, nobody knows what is going to happen with Bitcoin, at least in the short term. Anyone who does technical analysis, on-chain analysis, candle analysis, stock to flow, all of these models are just ways to try and use past information to predict future earnings. None of us actually know what is going to happen in the short term. With that said, I do believe that in the long term, we understand that Bitcoin is going to go up. We jokingly call this in the Bitcoin community number go up technology. And it's basically the idea that Bitcoin's supply is completely fixed on a set schedule, and there will only ever be 21 million Bitcoin. But the population of Earth continues to increase, GDPs continue to increase, they continue to print more fiat money, and essentially the value of Bitcoin is infinity over 21 million, which is to say, the more people sell gold, sell stocks, sell other cryptocurrencies, sell their fiat currencies, or even sell their time and labor for Bitcoin, the value of the market cap of Bitcoin is effectively limitless. But it is divided by a fixed 21 million Bitcoin. If you simply look at the math and the dynamics, short of something catastrophic happening to Bitcoin, which at this point is pretty unlikely to ever happen, there's really no way that Bitcoin can't increase in price over time. Now, we can talk about altcoins and why I don't believe that any of them will overtake Bitcoin, but that's not the topic of this video. The fundamental takeaway for this video is to understand that short term, no one really knows what's going to happen, but long term, we fundamentally believe, those of us who understand Bitcoin, that it is going to go up and up and up, at least for the next 120 years, while we are still issuing new coins on a set schedule. And because of this number go up technology, at the time of this recording, when Bitcoin is at an all-time high of $68,000, literally everyone who has ever bought Bitcoin and held onto it has made money. Let me repeat that. Literally everyone who has ever bought Bitcoin and simply held it has made money on that Bitcoin. So from that, the strategy, at least based on the last 12 years of data, is very, very simple. The strategy here is buy Bitcoin and hold that Bitcoin. Very simple. No trading, no leveraging, no selling at certain points and buying back to buy more. Just buy Bitcoin and hold Bitcoin. That's it. Now, I know what you're thinking. Jonathan, it really hurts to buy Bitcoin at $68,000 per coin. I mean, when I first heard about it, it was $1,000. And it really, really sucks to have to pay $68,000 per coin, and I'll never be able to afford a full Bitcoin. Well, here's the thing. We all have a story about when we heard about Bitcoin and how cheap it was compared to how much we ended up paying when we finally got involved in Bitcoin. When I heard about Bitcoin, it was $1,300 and I bought $25 worth, and then I forgot about it for 4 years. And I ended up paying twice as much for my next purchase of Bitcoin. And on average, I've spent much, much more on Bitcoin than I would have if I had just gotten in 2013. So we all have a sob story like that. But here's the thing. If you feel that way at $68,000, you're still going to feel that way at $75,000 and $100,000 and $150,000 and $250,000. And boy, are you going to feel even worse when Bitcoin gets to $1 million or $5 million per Bitcoin. What I'm saying is waiting is not the solution. It is only going to make you feel worse. And if you feel bitter and you feel like you missed out at $68,000, imagine how you're going to feel when the price is $680,000. And so in that sense, today really is the best day. Unless you have a time machine to go back in time, it's time to get over it and just admit that you made a mistake. You did the best you could with the information you had back then, and stop the bleeding. Stop the sense of feeling like you missed out. Within a year, when Bitcoin is up at $100,000 or wherever it will be, you won't feel so bad, and you'll just be glad that you got in at 68,000 and not at 75. So take the lesson, suck it up, admit that you wish you'd gotten in earlier, like we all do, and purchase now before the price goes up. I know too many people who have been saying that Bitcoin is too expensive since it was $10,000 a coin. And I promise you, if I could give them the option to go back in time and buy at 10,000 instead of complaining that it was too expensive, they definitely would have taken that option and would still take it today. Now, the next objection that people have, I hear this so much. They say, well, Jonathan, it really, really sucks to own 0.0005 Bitcoin when I can buy 1,000 of insert shitcoin here for the same price and feel like I actually own whole coins. Well, first off, that's a completely silly and arbitrary approach because ultimately the number doesn't matter of how much you own. What matters is the value that is stored in it, especially if you're still denominating it in dollar terms. But if you want to own whole units of currency, then don't denominate Bitcoin as Bitcoin. Denominate it as millibitcoin, or better yet, denominate it as Satoshis or sats, which is the smallest divisible unit of Bitcoin at 1/100 millionth of a Bitcoin. Right now, at the time of this recording, you can buy 1,500 Satoshis for just $1. That's better than the vast majority of shitcoins out there. So if you want to own whole coins, just switch your wallet to denominate your Bitcoin in Satoshis, and pretty quickly you can become a Satoshi millionaire. Simple as that. Okay, great. You're all in. You get it. Bitcoin, now's the time. It's time to do it. Get over the fear, get over the FOMO, get over the regret, and let's go in. But should you go all in? Well, no. You see, while Bitcoin's volatility is decreasing over time, it still is a relatively volatile asset, much more so than stocks, for example, which are in themselves relatively volatile. So it doesn't make sense to go all in at any one time. Sure, the price could go up tremendously tomorrow, but it also could go down tremendously tomorrow, and you'll find yourself wishing that you just waited a couple of days. And because of this, for volatile assets like Bitcoin, the respected and well-known trusted strategy is something called dollar cost averaging. In other words, buy the same amount of Bitcoin every week, every month, or even every day, and just set it on auto repeat. If Bitcoin goes up, you buy the same amount, say $100 a week. If it goes down, you buy the same amount on the same day every week. Now, DCA may not be the most profitable strategy out there, and there are people who will tell you that it makes much more sense to just try and time your purchases. But at the end of the day, it is the least risky and safest strategy, and it has other benefits as well, including your psychological health. I can speak from firsthand experience that always keeping your eye on the Bitcoin price and constantly trying to buy the dip only to find out that that wasn't the actual dip, it's not very good for your psychological health, and it gives you a lot of stress and unnecessary worry that you really don't need in your life. So yeah, while there probably are better ways to earn more profit, DCA is the least risky, most trusted strategy, and generally is just the best one for all-around beginners. With that said, if you're watching this video on a day where Bitcoin went down 20% in a certain day, go ahead and buy the dip. There is absolutely nothing wrong with buying the dip or picking up some extra sats if you can, or even just moving your weekly purchase or increasing your weekly purchase based on how much the price of Bitcoin has dipped. Some of the best purchases that I have ever made have been large purchases during huge dips when Bitcoin has lost as much as 50% of its value. And I've decided to either time my purchase a little differently, moving it up or back a couple of days, or even just doubling my usual purchase in a given week. Buying the dips has been a great strategy for me, and I do recommend that you buy things that are dips when you have the available funds. After all, like I said before, at this point in time, anyone who has ever bought any Bitcoin at any given price ever has actually made money, at least at the time of this recording. So you really can't go wrong by buying the dips as long as you plan on holding long term. It doesn't even matter if the price continues to dip, because as we covered in the beginning of the video, Bitcoin is only going up in price according to most experts and experienced hodlers. So to sum it all up, get over your bitterness and regret. Now is a great time to get into Bitcoin. You can buy as many as 1,500 sats for $1, and today is a much better time than tomorrow, next week, next month, or next year. The longer you wait, the more regret you are going to have, and the worse off you are going to be. So just get started. If you need any advice on how or where to buy Bitcoin, store Bitcoin, or any other questions that beginners may have, I welcome you to check out the other videos on this channel. In addition, please do take a moment to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so that you know every time we put out a new video. Thanks for watching, and happy hodling.